Hi YouTube family, Lisa A. Romano here, the ACOA life coach, and today I want to talk about something that is pretty prevalent amongst us ACOAs and especially ACOA women. It is not uncommon for adult children of alcoholic females to feel very attracted to narcissistic men. So let's try to figure out why so that we can look at that pattern and confront it, pull it apart, and then create new patterns in our mind that help flag for us when we're doing something wrong. You see, the brain can't help you fix anything, correct a pattern, unless you first figure out what it's doing wrong. And so, if we can understand why so many of us feel attracted to narcissists, and why so many of us have such a difficult time paying attention to the red flags because they're there, and why so many of us choose to stay in unfulfilling, dissatisfying relationships with narcissists, then what we can do is we can begin healing ourselves, paying attention to those patterns, and actually thinking above those patterns. Einstein says you can't solve a problem with the same level of intelligence that created it. And so what that basically means is that in order for you to heal, you have to think differently than the way you thought that created the problem in the first place. So if you began attracting narcissists into your life when you were very young, then unless you change the way you think, you are not going to not be able to continue attracting narcissists into your life as you get older. If you want to stop attracting narcissists into your life, then you must begin to think differently. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. This requires work. Like, a lot of people don't really appreciate that recovery requires great work. You have to spend time thinking about what's wrong. This just doesn't happen in a 45-minute therapy session with a psychologist or in an hour-long coaching session with a life coach. You must take the lessons that you're being taught and apply them to your life in as many ways as possible. You can't think about an idea. Like I just said, you can't solve a problem with the same level of intelligence or the same thought processes that you had when you created the problem or when the problem was created. Okay, lots of people hear that and they think, wow, that makes so much sense. And then they go about their day. They go shopping for their bananas, they do their laundry, and they don't spend a whole lot of time contemplating what the hell that means. So if you get nothing else out of this video, dear one, understand that recovery requires work. It's like learning a new language. You must understand. And I hope I'm here to see it, because in the next 25 to 50 years or so, psychiatry is going to get turned on its ass, because what we are going to begin to do with clients is teach them that there was nothing wrong with them except their programming. And the way to truly heal and to manifest wonderful life experiences is to deprogram and then reprogram the mind. And that's basically what I do in my life coaching teleseminars, and that's what I do on this YouTube channel, and that's what I do with my clients one-on-one. I also just began offering MP3s, so I will create an MP3 just for you that you can listen to over and over and over and over and over. If you're interested in that, just reach out to me at lisaaromano@gmail.com. But I digress again. I have a habit of doing that. So let's talk about why so many ACOA females attract narcissistic men. Okay, a lot of us had narcissistic dads. A lot of us had dads who were only concerned about how dad felt. And in my case, God loved my dad, but he's not the most empathetic and compassionate and understanding man or patient man in the world. And so I was taught very early that smiling on cue was what my dad wanted. So every little girl and every little boy comes into this life experience seeking mom and dad's validation. They are God to us, okay? That's who God is, mom and dad. And so it is very, very normal and appropriate for little boys and little girls to seek mom and dad's approval. Well, I never got it, and chances are if you're watching this YouTube video, you didn't get it either. Not the end of the world, dear one. Not the end of the world. We just got to figure it out. So I never got my dad's approval unless I knew I was smiling and I was, even if I was sad, like even if I was bummed out, even if I was sick, even if I was dying inside, I knew that my father wanted me to smile. And I knew that unless I smiled at my father and made him feel better about his day, then I was not going to be able to make him happy, and then I wouldn't feel validated by him. And so that was a program that started, that was a program, hear the word program, that was a program that began running in my mind when I was very, very, very little. And that program did not go away. What happens to programs that get programmed into our little brains when we're so young? What happens is when we're about 12, we think we know everything, and we begin living our lives off of whatever programming is in here. So guess what? If we have this as young women, have this pattern that we're supposed to seek men's validation, we were supposed to seek dad's validation, and hold up, if you had a mom like me who was so codependent, who so enabled my dad, that's also part of our programming. Women seek men's approval. Women need men's approval because our mothers did it, our grandmothers did it, and our dads taught us that we aren't good enough unless we're trying to make him happy. And so if you had a dad who really didn't offer you his approval, you have this program running up here that has you running like a hamster on a wheel thinking you need to seek validation from the outside. Okay, that's why and that's how, and now let's talk about what the hell we can do about it. So when we are a woman, now we're 18 and older, and seriously, our brain isn't even wired properly until we're 26. And so anybody out there, I'm just saying this, like this is my suggestion to my own children and to my stepchildren, do not get married or even consider getting married until after the age of 26, because you don't even have the neural wiring for cause and effect yet. I'm not kidding. So many of us, like I did, we made these life decisions at 21. I was engaged at 21. I mean, that's insane. And my brain wasn't even fully developed yet, I mean, think about it seriously. So that's another pearl of wisdom that I would like to shoot out of my mouth. But what we need to do now is, as women, we have to recognize, we're behind the 8 ball. We just are. Like, we have a lot of dysfunctional stuff going on in our minds. And if we can acknowledge that we have some wounds that make us vulnerable and to narcissists, then we have to take responsibility for that. It's no different than saying, I have the flu and I can't go to work because I'm going to be surrounded by, I don't know, other people who might also be sick, or I might make other people sick. It's no different than really honoring that something's up with us. So what we do then now is that now that we understand that we're behind the 8 ball a little bit, and we're sort of like prey. We attract narcissistic men because what? Narcissistic men want to basically take control over how we see them. I'm not kidding. Narcissistic men, they annihilate your feelings, they criticize you, they gaslight you, they make you doubt your own sanity. They say things like, I never said that, why are you getting upset? Oh, you're just too sensitive. I don't think you heard me correctly. Are you sure that's what you heard me say? What my ex-husband used to say is, everyone thinks you're crazy. And I would think, everyone thinks I'm crazy? No one else thought I was crazy. But just the fact that he said, everyone thinks you're crazy, it was like he was implanting that seed into my mind. And then I felt so wounded that I would obsess about, who said that? Why'd they say that? Do I appear crazy? I would question my own sanity. And so that's what narcissistic men do. And this is not exclusive to men. Women do it too. And so what I had to understand was that I needed to work on myself, because even though I was divorced and I had divorced a very passive-aggressive narcissist, I was still attracting them. When I began to realize that I was attracting narcissistic men, it was at that point where I really went on a hiatus. I was like, I gotta figure this out because this is me. I'm the common denominator. Okay, so what I did was I began to honor myself. So in big ways and in small ways, I understood that I needed to pay attention to what was going on with me. So when I was at the grocery store, or when I was at the gym, or when I was at work, when I was dealing with other people, if I felt something was off with someone, I made a mental note. I did not push that to the side. I acknowledged it. That was how I began tuning into my vibes and seeing red flags. If my friends, all my friends were married at the time when I got divorced, very difficult. But if my friends were having a dinner party and they wanted to set me up with someone, I would tune into self and say, do I want to do that? And I would wait for the answer. And if I felt no, I would just say, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to stay in, read a book, curl up on the couch, work on another book or something. Thanks for the invitation, though. Click. I began to honor myself. So that takes me to the next idea. We must begin to acknowledge when we're seeking validation outside of self. So again, you must milk higher states of consciousness. That's the only way this is going to happen. It's sort of like, okay, so this is one of my journals, right? Okay, notes on life. This journal doesn't know it's a journal. The words in this on this page don't know they're words on a page. I have to read this journal and objectify what's going on in this journal. Now, if I see something that's awry in this journal, I can cross it out and fix it and rewrite my sentence so it makes sense. But it's because I am objectifying what's happening on the journal. So, dear ones, you have to milk higher states of consciousness so you can observe what's going on in your mind in terms of programming. What patterns are running? And so, for all of you out there who consistently ask me questions like, well, how do I stop seeking validation outside of self? You have to recognize when you're doing it. And if you are in the pattern and you're not in a higher state of consciousness, then you can't read your brain. You can't read what's happening in the moment. So do whatever you can to stay as conscious as possible. Meditate a few times. I don't care if it's 5 times a day. I'm not saying meditate 5 hours a day. Come on, people, work with me. I'm saying meditate for 5 or 10 minutes a day. I'm saying the kids got you crazy. As long as they're not going to fall off a cliff, take 5 minutes, go into the bathroom, tell the kids, I'll be right back, Mommy needs 5 minutes, go into the bathroom, shut the light, light a candle, bring your laptop, put your iPod on, do a 5-minute meditation, calm yourself down, slow the mental chatter so that you can observe the pattern. Once you are in a quieter state of mind, then you can see what's going on in your brain. So, if you hear yourself saying like, I'm going to make this casserole for my husband because he's going to be proud of me. Am I making this casserole because I want my husband to validate me? Because that's inappropriate. Because what happens if my husband's got his own thing going on his head and he doesn't kiss my ass because I made this casserole? I'm going to feel wounded. Then I'm going to start an argument. And then the kids are going to be upset. And then I'm going to have a pity party. And so, how can I reframe this? What can I do right here, right now that's going to make me feel better about making this casserole and help me not seek validation outside of self and make my husband responsible for my happiness, which is really unfair. I know I'll make this casserole because I want to make this casserole. I'm going to make this casserole because I want to feed my children and my husband a nutritious meal. I'm going to make this casserole because it's something that my grandmother taught me to do, and cooking is one of the ways I show my family that I love them. Happened to me this morning, dear ones. I've been up since 2:30 this morning writing my 5th book. And I'm up making breakfast, lunch, and dinner because, I just don't have time sometimes to stop what I'm doing with my coaching schedule and make sure everybody's got food. So this morning, I got caught up in doing all this and I heard myself saying, a little bit of help would be nice around here. And now I have to go make the bed. And I stopped myself. I said, Lisa, you organize your life this way because you love your family, not because you want people to feel sorry for your ass. You work hard writing the books you write because you want to inspire people. You coach because this is your life, this is your passion, not because you want a pat on the back. And so, dear ones, even I have to milk higher states of consciousness in order to stay even keeled. So I hope this has inspired you. Please reach out to me and let me know. Namaste.